So I took the rear bumper off the Samurai, kind of for mocking everything up. For those of you that have Samurais, you know that there's usually some stuff back here for like your license plate to mount and your license plate lights or whatever. Anyways, I just cut all of that off because I'm gonna move my license plate somewhere else. These are just my ground wires. I mean, it don't really matter which light they get hooked up to because they're just grounds. So that's why there's blue tape there. And then I'm gonna mount the bumper off of this thing here. This is like kind of where the receiver hitch would mount if you got a factory one or something. I'm gonna just get some plates and bend them up 90 degrees or something, and I'll weld the bumper onto that. So it'll be pretty cool. And then my receiver hitch, I'm gonna just cut a square in the bumper and just weld it in there. It should be fine for what this thing will pull. So okay, so I got my lights here. I'm hoping that for the turn signal they pull enough amps or whatever to actually get it to signal, because this is an older car, so it just might not pick up the thing. But I think this wiring, the way this is set up, should work just fine. You have your red for your brake light, your I think the green was for the tail light. So like when you turn your headlights on, it'll come on or whatever. And the yellow was your turn signal, the white was your reverse, and the black was your ground. So stock, this had 3 ground wires on it. This is the side that I cut those grounds off of. So what I'll probably do is just run 1 ground wire up to the tub and do it like that. And then my reverse lights, the transmission, the switch on the transmission is screwed up, so, and I don't want to drop it, so I'm gonna just run these to a switch in the cab. Here, I'll show it to you. It'll just be right there. You just put it in reverse, turn it on, and then when you're gonna go drive it again, you just turn it off and stuff. That's my transfer case shifter there. I like the way it turned out. It's definitely better than this one was. This hole is actually centered pretty, like it's pretty much in the center. This one, I didn't really center it very well, and it kind of cracked when I was drilling it out, but this one didn't do any of that. But this wood is different. I don't know. This was pine. I don't remember what this was. So I got my light hooked up temporarily here. I don't have the reverse light hooked up, and they work, but the turn signal light doesn't. It just, you'll go to turn it on and it will keep buzzing in the cab and it doesn't flash. And if you walk outside, it'll just be a constant light, kind of like you have your headlights on. And it's because it's not pulling enough amps, so it's like nothing's hooked in, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Even with the emergency lights on, it still does it. I mean, I don't have the other side hooked up, but yeah, I'll have to figure it out. So I think this is the problem. This is the turn signal flasher relay or whatever. And it still works just fine, but this is just, you know, a 35-year-old relay, and they didn't have LEDs, so I'm gonna buy an LED one and see if that works. Okay, so I got the turn signals to work. All I did was replace the flasher relay thing. This is the OEM one or whatever. There's the number or whatever right there. It was a little bit longer, but I didn't have to modify it or anything to get it to fit. I just plugged it in and then everything worked. Signals, hazards, all that worked. So now all I gotta do is wire up the brake or the reverse lights, which I'm gonna just run to that switch right there. So It's gonna be kind of bright. Here, I'll show you. It's better off camera, but fronts work, so yeah, everything's good. So this is why you run fuses. I originally had a ground from there to that switch, and I had a ground on the tail light back there, so when you turn the light off or on, it would burn up the fuse, and it's because I had 2 grounds when I only needed the one. So just don't be an idiot and put fuses in and do it right. So this is what I'm doing for the mounts. I just clamped them to this level, then I used the bumper and a 2x4, jacked it up, and then I lined up the mounts with the bolt holes there. I'm gonna weld some gussets on the mounts. So here's where the mount would be. That's the end of it. Then there's just gonna be a little triangle there for the gusset. So yeah, it should be pretty strong. I'm also just gonna weld some flat 3/16 steel onto the edge of the bumper. It'll just be lighter and all that. So I'll probably cut that out there. That's just underneath the fender flare. Cut that out. Weld some of that steel onto there, and it'll be done. This is the weight of the long piece, the rear bumper. It's about 40 pounds. Probably had 10 pounds on because I'm gonna have those end caps and then the receiver hitch, but I'm gonna cut some of the steel out so I can recess my lights in it. And I'll make some mounts inside of it and weld it up. So, I don't know, 50 pounds for a rear bumper. You know, it ain't bad, but it ain't good. Just want to build these things light. Okay, I just marked where I'm gonna cut my holes out for my lights. There, oh, that's the center right there. It's 9 1/8 apart on each side, so that's 9 1/8. That's 9 1/8. Same thing for the other side. The center was 27 3/8, I think. So I'll get those cut out and then put a hole or something in the back to connect my wires to, and yeah, go from there. Okay, so I cut my holes out. There's a circular hole or whatever in the back to run my wires through, and I made these little, they're still kind of hot. I need to use a torch to heat it up, bend them. Z-bends, I gotta make 2 more of them. But anyways, they'll sit in there like that, but they're gonna be in there, you know, it's not gonna be like that. Then there's gonna be a hole drilled in it, tapped, and I'll drill a hole in the thingy there, and then I'll just put a little spot weld or rosette weld or whatever they call it in there to hold that. And yeah. Okay, so this is what the mounts are gonna look like on there. I didn't make the other ones yet, but I drilled and tapped them. They're not supposed to have the holes in the top. I just drilled them too big. So it'll slide in there like that or something. And I'll just weld it up in there, drill a hole through this thicker steel and weld it up in there. Okay, I got my mounts cut and bent. Now I just gotta drill them and tap them. The other ones were still a little bit too big, so I'll have to go down a size or something with the drill bit. So I got my mounts and stuff done. I made two new ones because I just didn't like how big the hole was and everything. They threaded in there, but it was just way wobbly and I didn't like it. But the reason I don't have this one bolted up is because I broke the housing when I was tightening it down. It's just, I wasn't really over tightening it. It was just cheap plastic, I think. These lights were like 20 bucks for the both of them, so I didn't expect much, but they're bright and, you know, they'll work great. So I'm just letting that housing, or the lens, dry. There's a little piece, a little hole molded into the lens to hold it on with the screw. So I'm just letting that dry and then I'll bolt them on. Okay, I just cleaned up these mounts a little bit. I hit the faces or whatever right there with a grinding wheel just so I have something kind of clean to weld to, and then the rest of it I just hit with a flapper disc or whatever. It's just really for paint, but those are the only things I did just for the welds. Okay, so I just finished welded this side. That got turned a little bit in there when I was tacking this side. What I did is I bolted the tail light to the mounts. I set it in there, tacked it, then pulled the tail light out and finished welded it. I had a welding jacket over it so it wouldn't burn the lenses or the lights or anything. So, well, that's what it looks like with the lights in there. This one isn't as far back, I think, or this one at least has more gap. Right there, right there. I mean, they're kind of the same, they're close, but you know, looks good though. Mounts are fully welded, not all the way around, just these sides. My dad welded up that side, that side. I did the longer ones, and I mean, it looks way better in the front. So this is my second weld. That's my first one. I just gotta get my beads closer and stuff. And then he did that there, that there. But it'll be plenty strong for what this thing is gonna be pulling. It's all done. I still need to put the plates on the end. But the lights work, everything works. So, yeah, it's done.